Hello, everyone. It's the People's Realtor, Realty Ryan, and I'm here with Mr. Fix or Flip or Foreclosure himself, Mr. Fabian Weir, our managing broker here at PrefeQ Realty. This podcast would not be the same without him, even though this is your first time seeing him. We're recording in his office at 247 Tolland Street in East Hartford. PrefeQ Realty. Call us or stop by. We're glad to help. Fabian, thank you for joining us today.
You know what? Yeah, thank you for inviting me on this legendary podcast.
Great to have you, brother. Like I said, a lot of the ideas that we've come up with, you've been a big part of it. So, like I said, in a whole, it wouldn't be like this if you weren't here. Now, you're now a business owner. You do not work anywhere else. You had a previous career in corrections, which you skipped out on them. And to my knowledge, you'd been fired many times as a young man at some other places.
I don't know how many times. Once.
Oh, just once? Oh,
Once.
good. Okay. All right. Well, cool.
Hey, don't let it sound like that.
So, what made you decide to go? Because I want to say, I've known Fabian since he's about 19 years old. When I met him, he was working, he was in college, doing everything you needed to do to set yourself up. I saw great potential. We had many conversations about the future. I expected you to be at some Fortune 500 company as a great
Easy.
high managing worker or CEO, but here we are. We're actually at your company. How did this all come about, and what made you take the leap of faith to go out on your own?
Yeah, so, all right, so let's start off from the beginning, right? So that job at 19 that we met, that's actually the only job I got fired from.
My bad, brother.
Sorry,
My
so
bad. My
let's,
bad. My bad. I know you was making a lot of
you know
transitions.
what I'm saying? I bought some moves, but like that's the only job I got fired from. So like yes, at that time I was in college, going to school for business, and of course when I left school it was in the middle of the recession. So as hustlers we just do whatever is necessary.
Right.
So any job that was gonna be able to do like take care of me, take care of my family, whatever it is that I had to do, I do. So as you know, I've done everything from working at Radio Shack, which you kind of gave me the alley oop on that. And then Evil Lenscraft, you gave me the alley oop on that one too.
Chill, slime.
You know what I'm saying? So Realty Ryan always looks out factual.
I try my best, of course.
Factual. Yeah.
But did you know back then when you were doing those different jobs, and obviously neither of us found great comfort in them. Obviously, working at the Marriott, we enjoy helping people,
Yeah.
and we both have a great customer service etiquette about us. But at that time, did you have any idea or believe that you would one day be your own business owner? Or, I'm sure you didn't think you would end up this deep into real estate.
Well, I mean, my only ambition was to be an entrepreneur though. So even though I was
Good to
going to
know.
school for business, I never really envisioned working downtown or none of that stuff. Like I couldn't imagine the whole cubicle thing. But like I said, we do whatever is necessary to get to wherever we need to go. Right? But my whole life that's all I ever thought about. I didn't think I was gonna be a realtor or a broker or
Right.
anything like that. That kinda happened by accident. But truthfully, I feel like nothing in life really happened by accident anyway.
No. And
Yeah.
and honestly, we've had a lot of conversations, but through it all, I never realized that entrepreneurship was on your mind the entire time.
Yeah, facts.
And here we are years later. You're there, I'm there, we're here. And I've given you some alley oops to some regular jobs, but you actually stayed on me for years. And shout out to your mom, Miss Allison Weir, for also encouraging you to press me about coming into this industry. And I've gotten a few calls from brokerages asking me to shoot out and come join
Per
them.
usual.
And I usually tell them that, listen, my broker is a very cool guy. He has no problem with collaborating. Some people look at this as a competitive thing, being in real estate and dealing with other realtors as like a competitor. But I see us as peers. And I think, when you're working with other agents to close a deal, we know they're not our competitors. They are our peers, correct? And we need to work together to come to a common solution.
For sure. All right, so there's a couple things there, right? So earlier when you were doing the introduction, I know, titles are some people are big on titles. Like that's not really so important to me.
Right.
And a lot of the his this and nah, I feel like this is something that we're building together.
Definitely.
And low key, I mean, I would think, especially in this type of industry, like I would need you guys more than you need me. Yes, there's a lot that I could bring to the table, but like without you guys, there's really very limited things on the table.
I don't know. We had a meeting recently. I don't want to go too deep in it, but we
Nah, it's all
found out
good.
we were struggling to pay these bills. My
Yo,
man does a lot of that. The awesome thing about Fabian is not only, is he an entrepreneur, is he our managing broker, but he really holds down the fort here. He sets an example through keeping his sales up, but still keeping us trained. He's available to us almost 24/7. I'd say we're a smaller brokerage based off the amount of people that are here and are at the office on most times, but we're doing big things and we're growing every day. So, we all appreciate you for that. And that's why I would never
appreciate you.
leave, to know that I have a broker who's got my best interest in mind, who's taught me a lot, including investments, foreclosures, and how to fix and flip, which is something you've been doing for a while now. Now, you have some background even before going in real estate. I know you've dealt in the like renovation industry, or I think your family has had some experience
Well,
with that.
all right. So my oldest brother, right? I don't know. He's good at everything, man.
Gotcha.
If it's something on the car, he can fix it. If it's something to do with a house, he can fix it. Like, and my dad is pretty handy too. Um, I mean, I could help myself, but not to that level, right? So as far as family that have experience in it, it's not formal training for the most part, but just knowledge. You know what I mean? But I'm the type of person that not that I could be an expert at it, but like I could go on YouTube and learn anything.
Right.
Maybe not anything, but in reason. Like
Right.
I could try to attempt it on my own. You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
that's kind of like the start of it. But before I became a realtor, I did buy a townhouse that needed considerable like work
Yep.
that I didn't necessarily have enough money to just pay somebody. So I learned how to put down vinyl floors myself. Like, you know what I mean? Or I'll go in there and paint or but I always had the help. That's one thing that I'm always fortunate for. Like whether it's like my brothers, my dad, whatever, I always have people that's willing to help me.
Right. So, Mr. Fix and Flip, you've been dealing with these renovations for a while now. What would you say are the ups and downs of doing flips? How do you make sure that you're in a positive light or gain when you're doing this? And would you say that every flip you've done has been done like leading you in a positive revenue after? Like what could you
Yeah.
tell the people?
Yeah, I mean, we've never done a flip that we've taken a loss,
Awesome.
right? But some you gain more than others. The fact is, like, you could have all your numbers down pat. You open a wall, you see something that you're not expecting, right? And one of the biggest thing with us, like, if you see any properties that we flip or anything that we manage, like, quality is important. We
Right.
stand by that. So we don't like they like to say lipstick on a pig. We don't do that. Like whatever we doing it right.
Right.
If we open a wall and we realize there's no insulation, like we're not just gonna close it up and pretend like we don't see it, especially in older homes, right? And then sometimes you open walls and then you got to do more work, new electrical, like you know what I mean. So
Right.
for us, certain things like that, because of the integrity, your cost can go up
Right.
because you can't turn a blind eye. When you're actually improving a property, the key is improving the property and doing it to the best of your ability.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You helped me a lot with my first flip. You literally found the property, helped me bid on the property, which we won. Helped me facilitate most of the team that I use
Helped
to
you with
do the.
counseling.
What's that?
Helped you with counseling to get through the stress.
Oh yeah, and with dealing with people because according to Fabian, I fought with everyone in the industry, lawyers, lenders, contractors, you name it. I'm on
Yeah.
their ass, no
Come
diddy.
on, relax.
My bad.
Relax, my guy.
My bad. I put belt to ass. Okay, let's
Still
put it
not
like
that
that.
great. Still
No,
not
no,
that
no.
great.
Still not good.
Nah.
All right. Well, anyway, yeah, he had to help me with a lot of this. And my flip was definitely a lot more than what we expected to be.
Yeah.
But you were able to help me navigate that and make sure that in the end I still turn a profit on that flip. I mean, what advice would you give to people on how to ensure that? Because you're saying you've done how many flips now?
Just for myself, or are we talking about with clients and everything?
No, all the way around. Because I mean, even with your clients, how
Yeah, I'm
much?
very involved.
Yeah, how much
So
time are
involved.
they? How much hands are they putting on it
Yeah,
most of the
anything that
time?
I'm a part of, I'm very involved. Only because I can't help it.
Right.
You know, and I really feel responsible regardless. Like if I encourage you to go do a flip, when it gets hard and I know you're struggling, shit, the least I could do is come and help you paint. I'm gonna come help you paint.
Right.
You feel me? Like so, I'm very involved. Not to say that I make that to be a habit. You understand?
Yes.
But I don't know. I think when we last counted, we probably did over the last 3 or 4 years. I think we were probably coming close to about 30. Not only stuff that we do with ourselves, but like clients that we've helped over the years. So yeah, we getting up there.
So, what would you say is the best way to ensure that someone doesn't take a loss when doing that?
I mean, we're big on our numbers, right? And you know, granted, there is some stuff that could happen in projects that we don't expect,
Right.
right? We try to account for that when we're factoring the numbers. When we're going to the auction, we got to be very disciplined.
Right.
Assuming that we are getting that auction, right? We got to be very disciplined with what our cutoff is. I know people get excited sometimes and they just want to win, but our goal
Right.
is not just to win. It has to make sense. So if we have our number, we'll stick to it because it's different. If I'm doing a project, I might be a little bit more flexible because I know my brothers and I, we could run in there and paint, or we can do certain stuff and cut the cost. We
Right.
might be able to do the floors, right? But the average investor client that might not even live anywhere in the area, that's not the option that they could use. So I have to make sure that I'm very conservative when it comes to that, when it comes to the numbers.
And how do you feel about actually being so hands-on these projects, especially when it's for someone else?
I don't mind it, but I find that like if we're talking about it's not even just the compensation, but sometimes you do that and people truly, I don't think they really appreciate or really know what you put into it.
Right.
And a lot of people do, but you do have some people that don't really appreciate the dedication that you put in it to make sure that the ship is sailing in the right direction.
Right.
The compensation part, sometimes I'm like, man, this shit ain't worth it, yo.
It ain't worth it.
Like
Right.
when you look at like how much time you spent there, man, probably 4 or 5 days a week.
Right.
You're coordinating everything. Yeah, sometimes when you look at it, the dollar figures, when it's all said and done, you're like, man, like this is probably too much for what it is that I'm charging.
Right. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we're out here to help. Like I said, many a times on previous episodes, this brokerage is about helping people, keeping it honest and doing what we need to do to make sure our clients are happy. I think we still have what, like a 5-star rating on Google?
Yeah,
and,
facts.
and we're trying to
Facts.
keep that going. So any of my clients out there who've dealt with me, feel free to go on Google. Forget me, PrefeQ Realty. That's who I represent. Shoot us a rating, an honest rating of how you feel about how you've interacted with us, because it's important. We want people to know that they can trust us. They can come here. We're gonna use that fiduciary rights that they have to make sure that they get what they need. Don't worry, we discussed that in the previous episode.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing it back. But yeah, we really appreciate what you're doing, Fabian and Fab.
And I appreciate you guys, man. And
And-
I know you're interviewing me, man, but like I just gotta say, like, I really appreciate all the kind words and everything you say, man, because you tell me all the time. But I just want to let you know that it's mutual.
Real talk.
And your co-host, okay? You guys come on here, you guys just kick back and have fun, and I feel like this conversation is very serious.
It's so
I'm kind of
serious.
disappointed because, like, I literally wanted to act a fool.
Well, go on, act up, brother.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's another part of working here that's great, that you have someone who knows how to kick back and chill. We're up there in meetings, eating well, getting a little litty, and,
Allegedly.
and enjoying ourselves. We might sip on a little something, but that's
Yeah.
the environment. Anytime you're dealing with realtors, yeah, we like to party and get loose a little bit, right?
Yeah, true.
This is what we do. I'm at the Greater Hartford Association of Realtors, and they're out here bourbons and cigars. So,
Why not?
we have a little fun.
Why not?
So yeah, I know you wanted to play a little bit, but I think it's so serious that the people at home know what a great job you do and what a great professional person you are. And you've only been in the real estate industry for like less than 10 years now, right?
Yeah, 9 years
Nine.
ago.
Oh, big anniversary next year.
Yeah.
So my final main question to you is, what made you decide to become a broker, and how did you know that that's where you wanted to be in
Damn.
this industry?
I think you asked me a question to a story that I really like to tell.
Go for it, my brother. No?
All right, no, but on a serious note, though, right? Like, it's funny. Like, sometimes I think about it, and like I said earlier, I don't feel like anything happened by accident, man. And I remember, like, I feel like I should have been on this path. Like, and the only way I could explain it is like, I remember when, I came from Jamaica and, just living in Hartford, not in the best areas of Hartford.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah, easy upon the bottom thing still.
Pause,
But
pause, pause.
when I was, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where your environment that you're in, like, make you say, man, like this is different from where I'm coming from in Jamaica. I'm from the
Right.
country and whatever. And I can remember like way back, we used to go to Capaco, and anybody that's watching this that's from Hartford area, you would know, right? When they used to have Ames and all of that stuff over there, Capaco was a
Right.
little bit different. And I thought back at how much times I would go there, and back then, you remember they used to have the little holders for like, where they had like houses before you had the Zillows and the
Right, right,
Realtor.coms.
right.
Everything used to be in the magazines, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
And you used to have the car ones. And I
Love
love
those.
cars
Yes, sir.
and I love houses. And even as a kid, like in time maybe 10, 11 years old, I would always take those magazines home and I would look at it, and I remember, I used to say to my dad, like, where's Winstead? Like, I never knew none of these places, right? So I've always had that thing, like, yo, maybe we could buy a house here, all this stuff. Like, my mind was always working like that. I know it sounds crazy, but as far as like getting on this journey, like I said, it's fully coincidental, man. Like, but I feel like it was a perfect thing for me. Like I said, I do whatever is necessary because I'm a hustler. So at the time, I was working in corrections. At this point, I don't remember how much years I was in at that point, and killing overtime. Just trying to make a life. I had
As many
already
of us do.
factual. I already had I bought a house at that point, and I just kept thinking to myself, man, like I can't make this be my life. Like, not that I mind the job. I feel like I was very, very proficient at the job. But it's just like that's not where I wanted to be, and it was a long journey ahead of me. And I, especially doing overtime, I couldn't imagine doing that. So I always thought about stuff that I could do in the midst of it that could just little residual income,
Right.
and I end up buying a townhouse as my first investment property at the time, and that's how I ventured into this just by accident.
Right. My man said he was there and he realized it was not where he wanted to be. A lot of us say that, but he was in jail.
Ah, chill.
No, he wasn't behind the bars.
Yeah, let's get some clarification.
Yeah,
I
he
was
wasn't
behind the bars, but I was on the better end of being behind bars.
as good of an end you could be going to
Yeah, I
jail.
wasn't doing the bid, guys.
And how many days a week were you working?
It all depends. We had different schedules. Yeah, typical.
OT end up being like 7 days a week sometimes.
Not really,
though?
because
No.
one thing with me, I don't go in on my days off. Like, I would hustle if I'm there, but like when I'm home, I'm home. I'm not
So-
homebody. I'm chilling.
And this is something that a lot of people do. I'm sure watching this, a lot of people can identify with this. We work, overtime, 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 still not to get the financial gains that you're looking for.
True.
That's why we've come into this industry. That's why we do this podcast. We want people to know that if you're tired of working overtime,
Sure.
all work, no play is a bad day, right? So
Oh,
invest in real estate. Come to PrefeQ Realty. Speak to one of us. Find out how you can maybe start an investment property. Now that townhouse, that was a one family.
yeah. Oh, I got a good story about that too, but we gonna get there. You know what I'm saying? Because
Go and get
you have
there.
to dedicate an hour for me, man. Because you know what? I probably won't be back on the pod for
Come
another
on,
year. No, no,
brother.
no.
We'll go on and give it to
So,
him.
so all right. So the townhouse, right? When I got that townhouse, all was going well. But that's how I became a realtor because I wasn't a realtor at the time,
Right.
right? And it's crazy because when I hate to even put it this way, but like when you work within that system where I was
Right.
going to work, like you will always hear, listen, man, if they know the rules more than you, then they can manipulate the rules. Or how could you you have to be proficient at your job, right? Or
Right.
you have to have a full understanding of what it is that you're doing.
Right.
So whether I was at work and I had to know my post orders, right? So I could be the best version of myself while I was there, right? So I took that same concept when it came to getting this investment property because here I am. No, I don't remember how old I was at the time. I don't know, maybe 26, 27
Awesome.
maybe at the time. And I'm like, all right, I've never been a landlord, you know? And I took that same concept to say, well, I have to know what the laws are because somebody's going to try to beat me, right? So what I did was I used to get these mailers that used to come to my house all the time. And I saw they had something about real estate school. And
Okay.
my intention was really just to go get the syllabus to see what books were required for the course. And I was
Right.
just going to order it on Amazon or buy it at their bookstore. And then I was just going to read the books just for knowledge. Granted, like you remember, I already finished college years prior. Like,
Right.
I already have the degree. I never thought that I would ever go back to school for something because, in my opinion, when I left college, that was the job that they offered me was the lowest paying job I ever had.
Got you.
You understand? So,
As once again, many people I'm
yeah,
sure can identify with that as well.
exactly. And one thing I will say about corrections, like, great career. I mean, I did it for about 9 years. And it really allowed me to do a lot in my life. You know what I mean? Very great job. Obviously, you're dealing with a different atmosphere, and the environment ain't so pleasant. It's not like real
Right.
estate where everybody you feel like you're truly changing everybody's life and people appreciate you for it.
Right.
Like it's a complete different scenario.
Definitely.
But yeah, so when I did go to the school to get that, the books, I realized, as I was looking at it and doing research prior to going, I was like, I forgot what it cost at the time, but I was like, I was just on day shift. I got day shift, and I said, I got my evenings open. So maybe instead of me just getting the books, maybe I'll do the class.
That's awesome.
And then I start like, oh man, okay, if I keep it for this long and I do this, I already saw the vision of what I wanted to do from the get because I don't know. Some people tell me that's a Scorpio thing where we thinking 10 step ahead. I think 15 step ahead sometime.
I mean, many people think steps ahead,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily in building their career and how they move for the future. Your 10
Yeah.
steps ahead was creating your own empire. There's so many people out there who have investment properties or multiple properties, whatever, and they never thought to pick up a real estate book to study it. So I think it just speaks to
Yeah.
your meticulousness as a businessman and wanting to do business the right way, which transitioned to this now running with us. That's one thing I could say as a person who's worked for many big corporations, that I look at Fabian and the way he runs this, he's where he's supposed to be. He runs it like a manager. He knows the numbers. Like we said, you've done so many flips and you've never taken a loss. Of course, there's slips and falls during the way, but you make
Sure.
sure you overcome. My property was crazy, and the fact that I could finish it and see a profit off of
It
that,
was lit.
it just speaks to how you move and how you direct things. So, it's important. And everyone out there, once again, if you feel like you're tired of working a 9 to 5 or 3 to 11 or 12 to 7, whatever it is, think about investing in yourself. There's nothing saying you have to stop working your job because he continued to work and invest in real estate. I've been a realtor for 3 years and still work a third shift job and do other businesses on the side. Most people who are wealthy, they have multiple streams of income to be able to do that. So, I mean, you're taking care of your whole family
Well,
and more off of this.
you know what I will say about that, Dorian? Like, yeah, it's a means to an end, right? Because it's hard for when I had that previous career. Like I said, a lot of things that I was able to do in my life, I gotta attribute it to that, right?
Yes.
But I know that in time, like I was gonna try to like, you know, once I got my foot in the way of how I like it, I knew I was gonna move on from it. You
Right.
understand?
Right.
But just so you know, like there's still you still have to make conscious effort in order to get to those goals. Meaning that like it started from me saying, all right, I'm gonna cut back on the overtime and focus more on real estate. Right? Those are the little sacrifices. You're gonna say, man, like something that's guaranteed,
Right.
extra income, I had to take a step back to focus on what it is that I wanted to be the main thing. And then once I was able to do that, eventually I was able to build my client base enough where I was comfortable. And at that point, remember, I think I was running a company at that point about 2 years, and most people never even knew that I had a full-time job outside of
That's
that
awesome.
until once I got to a point where I was comfortable enough because you can't have more confidence in me than I have in myself,
Right.
right? Because at that point, then we're failing anyway. Sometimes people could see greatness in you, but you have to be able to see it in yourself or just ability. If I can see the ability in you, once you're able to see that ability in yourself, then you're unstoppable. So once I got to that point where I was comfortable, then I was good enough to make a move.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
fixing, flipping foreclosures with Mr. Fabian Weir.
We're gonna have to work on that name.
We gonna get it right, but
know.
I had to throw a bunch of F's in there. You know what I'm saying? But we appreciate you. We thank you for what you do. I appreciate you being on this episode with me. Since
you, bro.
Romano was not present. And we look forward to it. Like he said, sometimes you have to use that 9 to 5 to grow on to the next thing. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't just jump off a cliff. I wrote on Facebook one time, sometimes you got to jump off the cliff to fly. And a few people looked at me kind of crazy. I got some calls. They was worried about my well-being. So we thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned for episode 5 of Proper Planning with PrefeQ. And we thank you all. Take care.